I'm Fiona Bruce, and welcome
to the Chuck Tingle Book Club.
Oh, yeah. Hello and how do, true buckaroos, and welcome back to another edition of the Chuck Tingle Book Club, brought to you by the fine reprobates at pottopicpodcast.com, I guess, or the Pot Topic Podcast, either will work. As ever, I am your resident Czech-academic, Taz, and a little later on, I'll be doing a deep dive into today's Tingler. But to tell us all about that Tingler, I have with me Tom. Yes. The practice paid off.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hungover, and there is but one known proven cure. That's right, is to synopsize one of the Tingle books. So this week we are analysing My Ass is Haunted by the Gay Unicorn Colonel. Well, I was so excited when I saw that title.
You gotta love it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So here we go. Synopsis. Welcome to the Blue Bayou. Let's start again. Welcome to the Blue Bayou Bed and Breakfast. Little old lady Melody greets our protagonist Roger to her B&B. Roger is uneasy at staying here, as this B&B has become more of a tourist trap thanks to numerous ghost sightings of Colonel Peach. Melody informs Roger that business is far from booming, however. No one cares about an old Civil War ghost, it appears, anymore. I wonder why that might be, given the recent political climate. Melody has apparently been busy preparing for Roger's arrival and put a fuck-off feast out for him. An entire table with just 2 place settings. When Roger inquires why there's only 2 place settings, as while he was approaching the B&B, he saw a unicorn in the top bedroom window. Ooh, I wonder where that's going, don't I? So yeah, Melody basically shows Roger an oil painting of a unicorn riding a fucking horse, which seems a little bit redundant, I'll be honest, in a uniform carrying a flag. This is obviously Colonel Peach. And guess who's staying in the late Colonel's room this evening? Dun dun dun. I wonder where that's going to go, ladies and gentlemen. Probably in his butt. Fast forward to Roger reading paranormal.
Have you read Tinglers before, Tom?
Yes, I think I know the pattern right now. So fast forward to Roger reading paranormal papers by candlelight in bed. Sounds like nightmare material, but good for you. Here's a knock, and cue a gust of wind, and there's a faint noise of a battle going on somewhere. Melody walks into the room checking Roger's okay, and asks why he's so driven to hunt down these spirits. So, 19-year-old Roger went to Spain, fell in love with his soulmate unicorn Paolo, as you do. He died from being hoof-hearted, which I fucking love that much.
So good.
So for
good.
Those that don't know, because it's obvious what it is, he has a heart the size of a hoof. This led to his death. Since Paolo's death, Roger has been obsessed with the afterlife. Anywho, Melody leaves, Roger falls asleep, and then gets woken up with a start. He hears his name being called from out the window. Out on the moon-soaked lawn, I've written oaked for some reason, is a ghost of Princess Di and Dodi Al-Fayed doing laps in a Mercedes. No, really? It was a...
What?
No, actually, it's the Ghost Colonel, funny enough. What a twist.
You are hungover, aren't you?
Yep. Sorry. As Roger's filled with an overwhelming urge to go run out to him, he turns around and the ghost is in the room with him. The Colonel reveals to Roger that he has a message from Paolo, his long-lost soulmate. Okay, I have to quote this because I love this paragraph. "What is it?" I stammer. "Tell me." As I say the words, I can feel a slight tingling begin deep within my ass, in a place that only Paolo could reach with his massive unicorn cock. In this moment, I realise Paolo's spirit is inside me, haunting my ass. Ah, dear me. Peach tells Roger that Paolo has always been there inside his butt, and that while Paolo is not powerful enough to manifest himself, Paolo wants Peach to pleasure Roger in only the way a unicorn Paolo can. Aroused with a stonk on, Roger tries to get to grips with this. He hasn't been with anyone since Paolo and finds the idea of giving himself to someone other than Paolo strange. But Paolo wants to give him pleasure, and this is the only way it can happen. And skip to a few seconds later, literally a few seconds later, Roger's unclasping the Colonel's belt because of Civil War. This Civil War spirit goes commando. Boing, 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 great, huge, throbbing cock jumps out, points directly, and I was clever here, and points us directly to the pleasure zone.
Take you to the pleasure zone, baby.
Sorry, I'm working with one screen here, sorry. Straight to a deep throat for Paolo. What a pro move, by the way. Hoof on the back of the head. The ball playing leads to speedy throat fuck, complete with cheeky wink from the twink. Bit of Dom moment from Roger as he instructs the hesitant Colonel to strip, get on the bed, and put the Colonel's hooves above his own head. Kisses all the way down pecs and abs, and Roger saddles up. Lip biting and grinding. The Colonel is clearly holding back, frightened he'll break Roger. Unicorns being powerful beasts and all that. Let go, I tell him. Just pound me. No. Just pound me like my dead unicorn lover would. Let it go, let it go. That does the trick. The unicorn flips the man over with his leg into the doggy position. That was a good sentence, wasn't it? Prostate pleasure ensues, gay reckless abandon, butt slamming. Roger starts jacking himself off his biggest hissing orgasm he's ever written.
Biggest what orgasm?
Hissing. For some reason he starts going
Okay.
Don't know why. But yeah, Roger, biggest hissing orgasm ever written, followed by, in this moment, I know that Paolo is in me, haunting my ass with Colonel Peach. Unicorn starts to shake. Come all over me. Shoot. Here's my Norwich radio station. Oh, fucking hell, I'll stop talking. Come all over me. Shoot that load all over my handsome gay face of mine. The Colonel pulls out, gives his cock 3 final pumps with his hand, and then tightly grips the base of the hot ropes of jizz eject across me. It feels nice against my skin, in a playful almost way. Neighing, thank you. That's the end of the scene. The ghost evaporates literally moments later, kind of like a bit of a paranormal pump and dump, to be fair.
Almost like Roger's just been ghosted, right?
Well, yeah, that's what I thought. I bet that film would have been a lot shorter if Swayze had just done that. Just come up behind her when she's doing the pottery and just go, bang, done. See ya. All right, anyway. I hope you found what you were looking for, Melody tells me as I carry my bags out to the car. I smile. I did, actually.
Ah, lovely. Cool. So, have you got any thoughts on the deeper meanings at play here, Tom?
I'll be honest, the entire time I was reading this book, I was laughing. So, deeper meanings.
It was definitely a fun one, this.
Yeah, it is. Love loss, moving on when you lose someone, I guess.
Cool.
That's as good as I can do.
Cool.
Where are we going?
Well, let me tell you, Tom. As we dive into My Ass is Haunted by the Gay Unicorn Colonel, an analysis.
I didn't see that coming.
The undead are everywhere. It doesn't matter what your personal beliefs are in this regard. You might have experienced the intelligence and emotional resonances of an extinct or transcended consciousness reaching through the veils of time and mortality itself to affect the world of now before your very eyes. Or you might know that ghosts and stuff are all bullshit. It doesn't matter. Either way, the undead are everywhere. No longer content to haunt our minds, the undead are in our books, on our screens, in our lexicon, and most strangely of all, in our beds. For centuries, the restless dead squatted in our imaginations, embodying our basest fears of isolation, the unknown, disease, and gruesome, painful death. Nowadays, they're as likely to show up as pulseless twinkling fuck bunnies as anything else. You need only look at the Twilight series to see this in Vampires and Werewolves, or Weird Science for this in Frankenstein's Monster. And for ghosts, there's there's the blowjob scene in Ghostbusters 2. So there's not really a rich vein of incorporeal copulation to pull from, I'm afraid. We don't seem only overly interested in raw dogging our long-expired forebears. Their insubstantial nature may have something to do with this, as some sort of physicality is pretty much a must in order for things to get physical. But when we write our stories, we have license to make up the rules. We could spirit bone if we really wanted to, but we still seem to hold on to the notion that we couldn't hold on to such partners. So we instead craft stories like the 1990 Oscar winner Ghost, where things are kept steamy but chaste, and with a greater focus on an emotional payload. So it would seem that our spectral friends rather missed out on the sexual revolution currently being enjoyed by other undead types. Instead, ghosts find themselves being explored through another lens altogether, that of paranormal reality TV. You probably know the sort of thing I'm talking about. These are shows like Ghost Hunters or Most Haunted, where people are filmed investigating haunted locations in search of evidence for life after death. It's a pretty popular subgenre of reality TV. The interesting question is, why? Why do the living seek out the dead? Of course, many ghost sightings don't come from ghost hunters at all. Ghost hunters only know where to go hunting because ordinary people, going about their ordinary business, seem to run into ghosts despite not looking for them. Almost as if the ghosts want to be seen. So while it might be interesting to ask why the living seek out the dead, the fun question is why the dead would seek out the living. Well, to figure that out, as ever, we are just going to have to do the science.
You and your prop.
I love it every single time, man. So, any thoughts so far?
Oh, I'm interested to see where we go with this, because this is a bit of a, ghosties are seeking out lover. I like it. Go for it.
Well, we're not going to be dealing with that just yet, because part one is the living. So we know what this is. Our protagonist, Roger, goes to an allegedly haunted place, sees something in a window on his way in, finds out that he saw the ghost, sleeps in the ghost's room, gets interrupted by not the ghost, and then gets very thoroughly interrupted by the ghost, and has a transformative experience as a result. It's classic Ghost Story 101, at least in structure. In detail, the story works out a touch differently. For one thing, Roger fucks that ghost. And as we've already discussed, spooky hanky-panky is not how things are generally done. So, what gives? To answer that, we need to have a closer look at our protagonist, Roger. You see, Roger isn't your usual fare for a good haunting. He's not moving into somewhere unaware of the horrors that await him, nor is he being actively haunted by the consequences of his past. Instead, Roger is a ghost hunter of sorts. Come the nighttime, he talks about lying in bed, reading quietly over some recently published papers on the paranormal. And beyond that, he's obviously visited haunted places before, at least enough to be surprised by the warm welcome he receives upon arriving at the Blue Bayou bed and breakfast. He tells us that get in, get out. sorry, what was that? Get out? Went Northern Irish for a second there. Get in, pay us, get out is usually the motto, especially when the ghost sightings have reached a level of notoriety that turns an establishment into less of a bed and breakfast and more of a tourist trap. But what's strange about Roger's approach to ghost hunting is that he doesn't really seem to have an approach to ghost hunting. He seems happy enough just to turn up somewhere and see if there's any ghosts. There's absolutely no suggestion of him carrying any ghost hunting gear, no EMF readers, no spirit boxes, no digital recorders, nothing. Hell, if you do a search for paranormal investigation tools, you will find a wealth of pages that offer interviews and lists for the gear any ghost hunter needs. Just pick a site. BH Photo Video, Vox, Mental Floss, Haunted Rooms, The Ghost Book. They all have articles that suggest the same basic gear, and Roger has none of it. Conspicuously so. This particular room has not yet been retrofitted for modern electricity, so I have been reading by candlelight. Did you catch that? Roger is so completely unprepared for ghost hunting that he doesn't even have the number one single most basic bit of kit. A goddamn flashlight. The only conclusions you can draw from this is that Roger is beyond incompetent. Or perhaps he doesn't need any of that gear because he's not looking for evidence of ghosts. He's looking for the experience of them. Melody, the proprietor of the Blue Bayou, does us a solid at this point when she asks, Roger, why is it that you're so interested in seeing these spirits for yourself? Roger tells us of the few short weeks he got to spend with his hoof-hearted unicorn lover, Paolo, that since the tragic curtailment of his true love story, I have been obsessed with the afterlife. I just want to know if he's still out there somewhere, my handsome Spanish unicorn. So there it is. Roger is a ghost hunter, but one with a very specific purpose. He has no interest in amassing data for a scientific breakthrough or to prove skeptics wrong. Instead, Roger's one of the successful ghost hunters, by which I don't mean he just wants to make a profitable TV show. No, Roger hunts ghosts out of a desire to know what's become of his love. Turns out, Paolo's been with him the whole time. He's always been there, haunting your ass while you worked, slept, cried.
Very dramatically read, Taryn. Well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, cool. Has that raised anything for you?
I hadn't even considered the whole ghost, him being a ghost hunter. Obviously, he's there to find a ghost, and he sees a ghost immediately, but he has none of the equipment. I didn't even pick up on that. Although, I guess if you've already seen the ghost before you even get in the building, if you had the gear, would you get it out? Then again, you wouldn't go to bed. No, you're quite right. He's not there for that. You're very correct.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There would at least be a flashlight, I think. If you had a flashlight in hand and you had to read by never read by candlelight by choice. Like, it seems like a romantic, cool thing to do.
Hurts your eyes.
It really hurts your eyes. Don't do it. All right, then. Part 2. The Dead.
Ooh.
Of course, in any good ghost story, the living are only one part of the equation. The ghosts usually embody the driving force behind the narrative. One of the more common tropes you'll find in such tales, this one included, is that of unfinished business. These are the spirits of those who died with some task left undone or some truth left unexposed. Patrick Swayze's character in Ghost needed to save his lover's life before he could move on. The former king of Denmark needed his son Hamlet to kill his evil uncle, in order to achieve absolution. And in My Ass is Haunted by the Gay Unicorn Colonel, well, things, they're not quite so clear. There are 2 ghosts to look at here, Roger's former unicorn lover, Paolo, and the titular gay unicorn, Colonel Peach. Paolo seems to be hanging around in order to let his mortal lover know that he's still there and he still loves him. The problem is that he's not powerful enough yet to manifest himself in physical form. This is where Colonel Peach enters the equation, and he outlines his role in the story pretty neatly. I have come to bring you a message from Paolo. He wanted me to pleasure you the way he cannot. So there's a curious problem that arises at this point. We don't know a lot about Paolo. We know that his relationship with Roger was long ago, and that at the time, he only had a few weeks left to live. Roger also tells us that since Paolo's death, I hadn't slept with a single soul, unicorn or otherwise. As such, it doesn't feel like a stretch to argue that Paolo is being held in the world of the living by the power of an all-consuming love that was cut tragically short. So, what about Colonel Peach? Tingle's already established that ghosts can become powerful enough to manifest a body, so why include Colonel Peach at all? And why specifically make him an old Civil War spirit? Now, I'm not going to rule out the idea that Chuck simply found whimsy and humour in the idea of a Civil War officer acting as somebody else's dick in a gay tryst. But things are rarely that simple in the Tingleverse. If we want to understand the inclusion of this character, our first and most obvious question should be, who was Colonel Peach? Well, without knowing the history of the timeline that this Tingler is set in, we can't say for sure. But we can make some extrapolations. Firstly, the name of Melody's bed and breakfast is the Blue Bayou. Assuming some analogues between this timeline and our own, the name Blue Bayou is one associated with Louisiana, USA. During the American Civil War, Louisiana was a secessionist Confederate state who fought for one thing, and no, it wasn't states' rights. Here's the Confederate Vice President, Alexander H. Stevens, to tell us all about it. Tom, can you cut the music? Because I don't like that I'm going to read these words, and I don't think they need any fanfare whatsoever.
We can all do a big fart noise after they're read.
Our new government is founded upon exactly the opposite ideas of the Union. Its foundations are laid, its cornerstone rests upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery, subordination to the superior race is his natural and normal condition. This, our new government, is the first in the history of the world based upon this great philosophical and moral truth. It's always worth just reminding people of what this shit was actually about. Anyway, cue the music. So, Colonel Peach is likely a Confederate colonel who fought for whatever gross and despicable moral truth this timeline secessionist fought for. Our next question then becomes, what did the secessionists fight for? Well, when Roger is telling Melody about his whirlwind affair with Paolo, he mentions that back in those days, unicorn and human relationships were looked down upon.
But
This doesn't come up again, and it changes nothing about Roger and Paolo's relationship. The tale Roger tells doesn't include any adversity the pair suffers as a result of their interspecial love. So why include it at all? This could be a clue as to the nature of the US Civil War on this timeline, a sort of lingering whiff of a dying ideology. On our timeline, much of the USA had anti-miscegenation laws, or just miscegenation laws, that prohibited interracial relationships. This was born out of the chattel slavery of African people, the later legality of which went on to define the Civil War. Funnily enough, every one of the former Confederate states held on to such laws until they were finally declared unconstitutional in 1967. Of course, just because something suddenly isn't backed by law, that doesn't mean that attitudes towards it change overnight. So what if the situation was much the same in the timeline of this Tingler? Only instead of the bigotry being based on skin color, it was based on whether you were unicorn or not. Following this thread, we end in a place where the secessionists may have been staunchly anti-human or pro-human slavery, or some other variation of this hot speciesist mess. Colonel Peach, then, would have been on the wrong side of this particular history. There's not really enough information to extrapolate any further than this. And honestly, if you try, the history starts getting weird and dark. Not necessarily something you want in your mind as you're reading a light-hearted erotica.
Amen.
But there is one more thing to suggest that Colonel Peach would be holding on to some disconnect between his own personhood and the personhood of a human. When Roger is on his knees before the Colonel, asking Peach if he wants to be sucked off, Roger remarks, "He seems just as fascinated by me as I am of him." Now, Roger's fascination is perfectly understandable. Brub's about to suck off a ghost. The root of the Colonel's fascination is less clear. We don't know if he's ever ghost fucked anyone before, nor do we know if he's ever dicked down with dudes before. But given what was mentioned on human-unicorn relationships, it's just as likely that this is the Colonel's first sexual encounter with a human, making it something worth being fascinated about. As I said, there's no way to say for sure that Colonel Peach is the ghost of a Confederate officer who fought for unicorn supremacy over humankind. But considering that Chuck went out of his way to make the unicorn a Civil War ghost, hint at unicorn human anti-miscegenation sentiments, and include a moment of mutual pre-boning fascination, I would argue that a narrative somewhere in this ballpark is at least being hinted at. Furthermore, it also gives us a reason for the Colonel's existence both as a ghost and as a character in the story. Read this way, he isn't just a useful substitute Willy for two lovers separated by death. Rather, he becomes a spirit bound to the world, in need of absolution for his role in the segregation of humans and unicorns. What better absolution than to be the proxy dong that brings together two such lovers?
I honestly didn't make the connection between interracial and interspecial relationships, or as an analog for each other, and the fact you've just made it a resolution. Bravo.
Well, you know, your brain's not as broken as mine, or at least it's broken in different ways.
Yeah, I was giggling throughout the entire thing. Just it was so tropey that I just didn't concentrate on what was actually going on in front of me. So thank you.
I'm going to look forward to going back and watching this one, because there was a moment I just caught out the corner of my eye as I was reading that I saw you react. Yeah. And it's like, I want to see what that reaction was.
You heard one earlier when I just went, fuck.
Cool, you ready for the conclusion?
Please go for it.
Awesome. So, conclusion. So, what can we draw from all of this? Well, as things pertain to Roger's story, the message seems pretty clear-cut and dry. That was weird reading. Never mind. In reading My Ass is Haunted by the Gay Unicorn Colonel, I was reminded of a recent quote from T-Vision. But what is grief, if not love persevering? And that seems to be what we're looking at here. Roger is out and about doing his ghost hunting thing as a way to deal with his grief. That is, the love he still holds for Paolo, but no longer has anywhere to put. And in doing so, he finds Colonel Peach, whose existence and role as a conduit for Paolo's passion proves life and love persists beyond death. Then below this surface story, we find the question of Colonel Peach. His own story, perhaps befitting his spectral status, exists as a shade that haunts the history of the timeline and, in turn, Roger and Paolo's love story. I could be way off base with the details of Peach once being a successionist officer fighting for unicorn supremacy. But with the details Chuck went out of his way to include in the story, I do feel there's enough to suggest that Colonel Peach's spirit lingers on in need of absolution for his role in history. Whatever that role in history, what better start on the road to redemption than to help two lovers torn asunder? Why, you would be learning about love even as you help prove it. I feel this is how love is being proved here. First, that love transcends death. Secondly, that death, hopefully, will prove no barrier to redemption. That it's never too late to prove love is real.
Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Bravo.
Oh, shit, what do I do? Deb.
Bravo, man. That was one of the best ones yet. I loved that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, dear. Right.
Yeah, that was an interesting one to read and to write.
I did not see an absolution story arc coming into your analysis at all. Blindsided me completely. Love it. Who's that rattling at the doorknob?
Oh, hello. I see you there.
Is it too late for me to be absolved for my crimes against humanity?
Darling, never. You just need to serve me some of that sweet Maggie you got going on there, and we'll be all good.
Sweet Maggie Mash. I am Tingletron, not Maggie. Although that is my D&D character, but never mind. I am Tingletron 4000, book review scoreboard. All scores are final. Right, I'm off to get resolved.
Happy absolution there.
There are too many clicks to do with just one monitor. It's really difficult. Right. So yes, this is the part of the program, story, issue, whatever this thing is, video, where we have had the science. Now we apply some maths. So we're going to go through and score the book on 5 different categories. We have looking at the tingles, cover art, getting to the tingles, pacing, giving you the tingles, sexiness, saving you some tingle, which is the recommendation value of the book, and tingle tilt, reviewers tilt, which overall gives us 4 score out of 10. So,
Yep.
first
Cool.
up, let's
get some maths on, baby.
Let's get our math on. Right, first up is looking at the tingle, giving you the tingle, looking, well, whatever it is. The cover art.
Now, this is actually the first time I just quickly had to bring it up on my phone because I haven't looked at the cover art yet, and it's not that big on my screen. But
Mummy or daddy.
oh,
It's a good
I do like a sexy geek.
Yep. Tall, dark, and handsome one as well.
And even that portrait of the Colonel in the back, there's a sort of regalness to it. That yeah,
and
he could mount me.
And it's the fact that they've got the painting completely as they describe it. It's portrait of a unicorn riding a horse in full regalia, carrying a flag. So it cannot be faulted.
No, I love it's a nice, tasteful silver frame, which I always appreciate. Gold, I find, is a bit tacky, and some nice wallpaper in the background. And that boy, oh, hello.
It's going to be hard not to give this a perfect 5 out of 5.
Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far because that's still a soldier, which it undermines some of the hotness for me.
Actually, yeah, true. Thinking about it as well, it's not full regalia. He kind of looks... He's not wearing like a uniform you'd expect a colonel to be wearing. But... No. I'm curious. I don't actually know what the Confederate... assuming it's Confederate, it's different timeline, so who knows what they look like. It was grey, as far as I remember. I remember one of them being blue and one being grey, but I can't remember which way round it is.
Blues was the Union. It was yellow and grey was the secessionists.
So they've got that.
Which there is yellow and grey there. So I guess that kind of bears out.
Right, I'm going 4.502.
Ooh.
It's a high one. I love this cover art.
Oh, fair enough. No, it's very good. I've got to give it more than a 4. I'm 4.170.
Love it.
I think is good for me.
So that overall averages out to 4.336. Getting to the tingle, the pacing. Now, I'm trying to think where it might falter.
So this one, I don't know. It as a ghost story, it kind of it loses a little something. It does all your basic points, but it doesn't quite create a sense of of horror, which we know Tingle can do and has done before, and like amazing effect at times. You know, it's good. I think by the time Colonel Peach turns up, I was like, finally. Which suggests that, you know, the pacing was maybe not his best.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Okay, this is how I read the entire book. So it was just trope after trope after trope after trope, but they missed, as you say, the horror element. The one they could have just had one scene where he was scared, rather than such a drawn out intro, I guess. Although I like the addition of the character of Melody, because she seemed like a lovely old lady.
Yeah. She's brilliant. And there were some really nice descriptive passages in this one as well.
Yes.
Which, I think the moment when talking about like the moonlit lawn was pretty well done.
Yeah, moon-soaked lawn. I loved that phrase.
Yeah,
I actually included it in my synopsis because I liked it so much.
And I think there was some description of the jizz that I thought was actually pretty good as well.
Yeah.
The one thing we didn't do is neither of us mentioned like the closing passage, which was, you know, as he's driving away on the corner of a field, so you can see the outlines of two unicorns patiently awaiting his return, which was a very, very nice touch.
Yeah. But it, again, at the end of the love scene, it was an absolute pump and dump. It was just, Ghost just fucks off. Which kind of seemed a little bit stranger, but I suppose if you're a standing cock.
A proxy dong.
Proxy dong. I've got a new MSN sign-in name. Proxy dong 69420.
That's good. I love it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking somewhere 3.822. I'm thinking actually.
Okay.
It just came to me. It feels right. It's got the correct smell about it.
It's got a proper niff on. 3.822. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit lower, but not by much. I'm going to go for 3.45. That was an 8. I closed my eyes and hit the keyboard. Maths. Which out of 5 is
Man, do you know what? Sometimes there's the most precision in chaos.
Absolutely. I was going to put 2, but I slammed my finger down, not knowing where it was. 8. The gods avail. Right, so that's 3.64 out of 5. Giving you the tingle, the sexiness. Now, bruv got some moves. Roger knows how to get Rogered. I mean, he's
Yeah, it was kind of straight in there. There was holding that dude's dong for a long time.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool. It wasn't particularly. I don't know. There was something about it that didn't quite do it for me.
Okay. For me, it was pretty hot. But as you say, it was. You know, like when you're watching porn, and it's just like. It's almost like what they call them, frat boy porn, where they're just pounding the fuck out of each other, and it's just like jackhammer sex, and it just kind of seemed like that. There wasn't any tenderness to it, I guess.
Yeah, kind of after the moment where what was it? Roger says like just fuck me like Paolo would, and then he talks about Peach losing control and getting bestial. Like after that moment, there was kind of. It was pretty much cookie cutter from there.
True.
Solid, but you know, maybe not enough to get me solid.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Right, so I'm gonna I was gonna give it a bit of a higher score than this, but you've won me over. So 3 point. That was 450. I'm like
450.
Yeah.
Cool. I think I might go for 3.405.
Fair enough. I think that's a bit harsh. Right, so that's a 3.4275 out of 5. Right, so I'm so glad we're laughing at numbers again. Last time we did a recording, we didn't laugh at all at the numbers. Right, value, saving you some tingle. Recommendational value. This.
Do you know what? This is solid. This is just.
It's hard to sell this. A dude who fucks a Confederate ghost. It's hard to sell that to a friend, but add in the fact he's a gay unicorn.
Yeah,
it's.
I mean, there's that also. I think like there's. I don't know if I want to include it in the recommendation bit or the tilt, but I think the fact that there is like an extant love story, like the one that's running between Paolo and Roger, that kind of runs through the entire thing. That's lovely. Like we don't often see that in Tinkerers. It's usually, oh, hello, I've met this thing or this person, and they're different, and now we're fucking.
And
which
falling in love by the end of it.
Extremely reductive of me. But this one, there was the love is there. It's kind of front and center, which is lovely.
Yep. I've already typed in my answer. It's 3.011.
Okay. Do you know what? I think 3 points. Do you know, a little higher, I think, actually. 3.666. Yeah, because it includes undead shit.
Ooh,
devils and that.
Spooky numbers. Spooky math. So that's 3.3385 out of 5. Now, reviewers tilt final. Reviewers tilt. Tingle tilt. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I was laughing. I was enjoying the tropes that getting brought up. Very, very systematically brought up. It was a shame the horror wasn't in there, as you say.
But it was nice. It was lovely. It was funny. You know, there's a little something. You know, that. You know, there's a couple of little bits that we don't see an awful lot in other Tinklers. You know, it's not often that you get a character like Melody, like another character who has such a significant role. There are other characters, but they're usually fleeting.
Yeah.
So that was pretty nice. And I don't know. I feel that some of our scores are kind of leaning towards mediocrity a bit, and I kind of want to give it a bit of a
shift up.
So I think maybe 4.257.
Well,
will do for me.
Fuck me silly. That's exactly what I was going to do. So that's 4.257 out of 5, which gives us the final 4 score of 7.5996 out of 10.
Which means something.
Yeah, hang on. Right, so that takes it into, I'm going to guess it's about middle of the pack. No, it's probably pretty good score. So, custom sort. Find the fucking thing again. There is. So it is. God fucking damn. Excel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 9th. It's in the top 10. So yeah, it's about middle of the pack, which is so it's just below. Monday pounds me in the butt.
Yeah, okay.
Literally 0.0004 behind it.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fine. And it's just in front of feeling the burn in my butt.
Also fair.
Yeah.
Another unicorn tingler.
Absolutely. So, if you'd like to see the full score,
where's
go on.
Oh yeah, so out of interest, where's unicorn butt cops, unicorn beach patrol?
It's literally 1, 2, 3, 3 behind it.
Okay, so the unicorns are clustering,
Yeah, they definitely are.
banding together.
Yeah, that's the only ones, isn't it? That's the only unicorn books we've read so far. Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think the only other mention of unicorns really is there was a unicorn cop in Not Pounded by Anything, and That's Okay.
Yes, you're correct.
Other than that, I can't really remember any.
So we like the unicorn books then, clearly, because not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the book you just mentioned is number 1. So
Yeah, do you know, it'd be. We haven't had many Bigfoot books. That'd be interesting.
good point. Well,
I think we've only had one, which was Butt Night Battle Royale.
well, while you go get the pot and pull out the next book, then I'll say to the lovely listeners and viewers at home that they can view the full league, the League of Tingle, on our website. Just go to the top of the screen. There's a little Chuck Tingle Book Club tab. You can click there and it's all in score order. What we got next? What's our next read?
All right. Oh, okay. The next one is Butt in the Mist, stirred to the core of my bodice by the Duchess Triceratops of Helena. All right. Okay. So I think that means we've got a ladybug tingler, which is awesome. We haven't had too many of those.
Yeah, we've had one for a while.
Oh, fantastic. When was that? That was August 11th, 2019. So it's a recent one. God, it's going to be interesting trying to figure a Butt in the Mist. What is that a reference to?
I'm thinking Duchess Helena's a reference to something as well.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll have to figure it out. But yeah, yeah, you've already done the housekeeping, haven't you?
No, not really. Go to podtopicpodcast.com. We do a podcast there with a few of our friends. We pull topics out pots at random, submitted by the audience and by us, and we do that for about 2 hours whilst drinking a lot, which is quite fun. Although the thought of drinking right now is kind of turning my stomach, as you might imagine.
Have some chocolate milk. It'll make you feel better.
Oh, mate, I'm going to have a bacon sarnie. I'm going to fucking do it right. So, yeah, thank you very much for viewing. And, yeah, have fun.
Yeah. So if you want to, if you want to get ahead of the game and read what we're going to be doing next time, once again, it's A Butt in the Mist, stirred to the core of my bodice by the Duchess Triceratops of Helena.
I'm so fucking on immediately and fucking reading it now.
Oh, I am excited. But yeah, I mean, other than that, we'll look forward to seeing you next time. And in the meantime, you know, whatever your trots, whatever your way, go forth into the timelines and prove love is real.
Love is real. We're living a redemption story. Bye.